Hi, this is the UNIC Tango ST. Everything I go over here will also be applicable to the Tango Ace. This is to be a user kind of overview and training, just how to use this machine and how to clean it, and just kind of, the basic day-to-day upkeep on this. So I'm going to start up at the top of the unit, and I'll work my way down, and then I'll talk about cleaning and a couple other things. Hopefully that can get anyone that needs some help with this on their way. So up here, we've got our coffee hoppers. We got a larger one on the left and more of a half-size one on the right. Typically, your main espresso is going to be in this big one, right? And your decaf will be on the left or on the right. To refill these, pretty easy. These lids just come off. Some folks find it easier to remove the hoppers and refill them on the counter and put them back. A couple of things on that. There is a screw in the back that secures these, so if you're having trouble getting them off, that could be it. There are also, in each of these, a sliding lever mechanism that opens and closes a gate at the bottom, so you can remove this with coffee in it and not have that coffee spill out all over the counter or inside the machine. On the left-hand one, all the way to the right is open. If you push it to the left, that closes. And on this decaf side, if it is pushed back, it is closed, and pulled forward is open. You can see there's that silver gate there, which when you open it, that tab slides out and the coffee is able to fall through. So when you go to put these back, make sure it's closed, because that tab can get in the way and keep you from pushing these down. I would also recommend nightly, as part of your nightly cleanup, to remove these, and if you've got just a larger bowl or container, or even the bag, you can just dump the coffee beans back into and wipe these hoppers out with a dry paper towel. That helps you keep oils from accumulating on the sides. One thing that can happen with these is oil from the coffee just kind of gets sticky, acts kind of like a glue, and it holds the coffee to the sides, and you'll eventually, it'll look like you're full, but you'll have kind of a hollow hole where coffee has fallen through into the grinder through use, and you'll be trying to make shots and only getting water out because all that coffee is sticking. Doesn't happen with every coffee. Each coffee is a little different, but if you notice that you're using a lot of more oily, shinier coffee, you're more likely to run into something like that. So just use a clean, dry paper towel. Don't use a wet one. Don't use soap. Just a dry paper towel. Wipe those hoppers out at the end of the day, and that will help keep you going. Here, these dots are going to be for your grinder coarseness adjustments. That's not really something that we expect end user customers to be able to do. That's going to be adjusted about every 6 months by a technician doing a PM check. Same for the sticker, that's a key for that. And this USB port would be for like a software update or a recipe transfer if you've got multiple machines and you're trying to clone the recipes. Top here is just a flat heated panel. You can put your china up there. I would not recommend putting syrups or anything like that. They tend to drip down through these grates and get inside the machine, and that's not a great time for the guy servicing your unit when there's a bunch of sticky baked on chocolate all over everything. So this is really good for ceramic cups, but probably not for product. Coming closer on the screen here, so you've got a calendar, you got your date, you got your time, and your steam and your hot water settings. Got large and small doses that can be programmed for the water and the steam. My machine here is set up slightly different normally than what you're probably going to be looking at. I put this steam wand on it because this is the standard wand. Here, since this is just a trainer machine, I put a more traditional steel wand on because that's the way I like to steam. So normally, this icon is going to have a little thermometer on it to let you know that that's the one for this auto frothing wand to use. And this smaller steam button, I like to program to be a 2 or 3 second purge, which I'll talk about when I get to using the wand. Going more, you've got different configurations, different drinks. If you look at the colors, those colors are indicative of which hopper that you're going to be pulling coffee from. So the purple underline is going to be your left hopper. The green underline is going to be your right-hand hopper. That can be a quick cue for you to know, if the drink gets named something generic like simply Americano, you can see that, green would be right, purple would be left. But hopefully those get named a little more intuitively than that, but it has been known to happen. If you have more than 8 drinks, there'll be an arrow here where you can tab over to more pages, and the star button takes you back to the main home page. Getting into the menu, you'll have a couple of options here. There's info, and this can show you your steam boiler pressure, your coffee temp, your water pressure, how long you have until your next cleanings for coffee and milk if you've got a one-step unit that does auto milk frothing. And you can also track your water usage through a filter, should you choose, and it gives you your software versions here. And then the cleaning button gives you a bunch of options for different cleanings. The ones that you'll be mostly concerned with are the coffee group cleaning, and if this is a one-step unit again that has a side fridge and does auto milk for you, the milk pump with cleaning will be the one that does all that for you. Come in here a little lower. Here's your water spout. Either of these buttons will give you some hot water. It's good to know that that is really intended to be either just a rinse out for your shot glass or a preheater for some china. You don't want to use that for really large cups of hot water for things like tea or matcha or Americanos if you're not using a pre-programmed Americano. If your boiler, for one reason or another, isn't able to refill that water as quickly as you're taking it out, which is a very common thing, you'll end up draining that boiler, tripping a safety, and this will stop heating until you have a technician come and reset it. So if you're going to be doing Americanos, it's really recommended to have some programmed in here because they pull that water from a different source of the boiler where you don't risk that, out of the heat exchange where the brew water for the coffee comes. And with teas, or if you're doing anything else where you need that large volume of water, we really say that you should be using like a hot water spigot off of a big batch brewer or something like that. They have way larger, way more water capacity, and they're built for dispensing water like that. Here is your dispense spout. It rises and lowers, so you can accommodate different size cups. If you've got a one-step unit, this will open up and you'll see a big white Teflon thing here, and there'll be another hose coming off the side running over to a fridge. I have a separate video that will show you how to clean and take care of that frothing unit. But if you have a one-step unit, the things to really know are you want to clean that. It's really advisable that if you don't have at least 2 frothing units, you get some, so you can always have one soaking in milk cleaner while the other one's in use, and then you're quickly able to swap them around. And on the little hose that would be running out, on the very tip of the hose that would dump down into your milk jug, there's a little plastic tip, and you want to make sure you don't lose that or you'll lose your suction and it won't be able to pull the milk and dispense properly. This spout is also magnetic. It can be removed for cleaning. You just grab it, pull it right off. You can clean this thing out, rinse it out at the end of the day, and it slides back on. This is going to be your waste drawer. After you pull a shot, the spent coffee's got to go somewhere, so it dumps it into here. Usually we like to have these programmed to make you empty them after every 50 shots. Really, I wouldn't set that to go more than 80. You kind of run the risk of just piling coffee so high it backs up into the group. Not really what you're going to want. That's a call from a tech. So keep it low, and the added benefit of emptying this more frequently is, as you'll see in a moment, when you empty it and you put it back, the machine runs a 20-second rinse, and that helps to keep things flowing through the group and prevent clogs in between your actual cleanings with detergent. Steam wand is right here. Like I said, top button here, this would normally have a thermometer next to it that would let it know that when you've reached your set temp point to shut off, and then this one would be a purge to help clean afterwards. And then down here below, you've got your drip tray. You can pull this out and wipe that all out right down here at the end of the day. This machine does not have like a grounds collection bin like a lot of traditional machines do. Everything just runs straight out that drain, right through the drain hose there, into the drain. There's no extra cleaning box or anything like that you have to worry about at the end of the day. And your power switch is right down here below. It's just a simple on-off power toggle. So using the steam wand, we'll start here. You can see on this collar that rotates, I've got 1 dot there. We got 2 dots, 3 dots. The third one here is hard to see. And then there's nothing. Right? So there's 4 settings here. And they all coincide with the little divot right here at the front. So right now we're at 1 dot. The meaning of that is more dots means more foam. So depending on what you're foaming, you might need to add more air, and that's what this is an increase of air to help your milk foam up. My experience with this is I do not ever use 2 or 3. I haven't played much with alternative milk, so it might be more useful with an alternative milk. With dairy, I find that 2 and 3 end up just being too much foam, and it ends up overfilling and just foaming out of the pitcher and making a mess. So the way that I foam this to get the best results is I put this at number 1 and I start it and I give it a few seconds, usually 5, 6, 7 seconds, and then I'll flip this over to no dots at all. So that gives it 6, 7 seconds of air and then just steam to circulate everything. And that's the closest I've been able to come to mimicking doing an actual manual steam on like a traditional steel wand. And I've gotten pretty good results out of that. I can pour latte art with that. Once you figure out exactly how to work that to get the results you want, this can steam a very good pitcher of milk. One thing to be aware of is this temperature probe. You don't want to bend that down or anything here. These run about $200, and where you see where it's all thick and reinforced here, a lot of the times these wands really get beat up. If you break the wire, you don't have to replace this whole wand. This probe is a separate part, but like I said, it's about $200, and you got to pay a guy time and travel and all that to come out and swap it for you. So it's a good idea to just be gentle with that. Same thing with this upper pipe here. This looks like it's really thick stainless, but it's actually plated copper, so it bends really easily. And I pretty frequently find where people, usually I think they have it positioned like this. They bring it out and they want to pull it up, but this joint doesn't articulate that way, and so they just bend it. All right. Proper use for this to get a pitcher on is to bring it here facing you, and it pulls way out, and you can get a pretty good sized pitcher, and it goes right underneath, and you push in. And you're going to want this to be mostly straight up and down in the center of the pitcher, and then you can just hit the steam button and walk away. It'll froth, it'll stop when it wants to. Just be mindful of the, if you're doing what I was saying about the 1 dot and the 0, be mindful that you will need to do that rotation there. And then pulling it off. When your milk is done, you remove your pitcher. Immediately, you're going to have a white rag for your milk. You're going to wipe it all off, hit it back there, and then you'll hit your purge button. And that's all you got to do. If you don't purge it and you don't wipe it, what ends up happening is the milk dries up all inside the tips of this wand here, the holes in this wand, and you don't get steam anymore, or you get really weak steam. Usually the big symptom you'll find is you'll be steaming and you'll look at the top here and you'll be bubbling out the top. That's a sign right there. That's telling you that you're clogged up at the bottom and the pressure has nowhere to go but up out at the top and bubbling out the top. Being that this is a super automatic machine and not a traditional machine, you likely will not have one of these Palo brushes. I still recommend getting one just for this little metal poker. That's the perfect size. It's designed to be put up into the holes in that steam wand to clear it if it gets clogged. Don't use a paper clip. Don't use a push pin or a thumbtack. Those are too big. And if you enlarge the holes on this tip, you're not going to steam and foam right. It's just never going to work. You're going to have to buy a new tip for this wand. So these Palo brushes are on Amazon. I'm pretty sure they're less than $10. Well worth it to have, just in case that happens to you. The process for cleaning this wand at the end of your day, this is the product here. There should have been one of these bottles that came with the machine. Sometimes they don't, but you can find this really easy on Amazon or a lot of restaurant supply stores. This is Rinza by UNIC. To use this, squeeze the bottle, and that's going to fill up this top dose. You're going to come over and pour that into a pitcher, and then fill the pitcher most of the way with water, and you're just going to bring it in here and steam it like normal. It'll foam up, it'll look kind of like milk, smells like cleaner, and it'll stop when it comes to temp and let it sit 5-6 minutes or so. And you can remove this. Don't dump it yet. Get another pitcher with just fresh water and do the same thing. Let it just blow through and circulate that fresh water. And that gets you all warmed up. From here, there's a little disassembly of this wand so you can soak some parts that we like to do. So this comes apart. If you take this tip off and you've still got this pitcher of Rinza right here that you already steamed with, tip goes in there. This larger, fatter part of the wand is just a sleeve to hold this temperature probe in. So if you hold that probe, you can slide that off, and the probe will just sit to the side or dangle. And then this can get in there and soak. And then we got to take this main part off. So, and if you've been steaming, be careful, because this anything metal part of this will still be really hot. So give it a second if it's been actually in use. But we'll spin this off. The outer cover of this rotating barrel will also come with it. We'll just pretend I made that into the pitcher. And then these two pipe pieces come apart. This is a very used, very dirty wand that I put on here just for this demo, so you can see what happens here when they're not cleaned very well. That's all milk. That's really gross. I would be upset if somebody served me something off that. You probably would as well. You can also see down in here, right on these threads, inside this piece, all that brown, all that stuff, that's milk. That's gross. And the same thing is in the tip, so it's you want to keep up on that. But that all goes in there. It goes all the way back together in the reverse. The thing that you need to remember, though, that will trip you up, that trips people up all the time, is this fat piece that holds the probe. You'll see here on one end, you've got kind of a cutout here. There's like a channel that's been dug into it, and that is not on the other side. The other side, there's just a vertical hole where that can go through. This top channel is for the top. That is so this probe has a place to go in and sit in there and not be protruding, so you can assemble this all together. I would love to tell you that you can't do it wrong, but people do this all the time. They'll put it in like this. You can see that there's no way anything's going to seal flush there, but they just jam it all together. They bend the probe, they break it, they get maybe a single thread of the tip on and wonder why it's not steaming milk properly. So just remember, the channel there has to go at the top. It's a very commonly missed thing. If you have a milk frother, I have a whole other video showing you how to take that apart and clean it and scrub it. Same with here. Once you have all these pieces that have soaked in Rinza, good idea to get a pipe cleaner or some kind of a bristle brush and rub out any milk that's left over, and then you can rinse and reassemble the wand. This machine will prompt you when it's due for a cleaning. It has multiple timers. The way that the coffee cleaning works is you'll run a cleaning, it takes 10 minutes, and that stops. It's not going to count your timer. It's not going to worry about anything until you make a drink. So if you're closed on the weekends and you run a cleaning on Friday and don't make a drink after that cleaning, the machine will be just fine on Monday when you come back in. But if you make a drink on your way out the door, that's going to start a 26-hour timer. And after 26 hours, if you haven't run a cleaning, the machine's going to lock up and say, I need to be cleaned. It won't make drinks. It's going to force you to clean it. So be mindful of that. As long as you clean it anytime, once a day, you should be fine. It's usually easiest to just have your closer do it. On their way out the door, they don't have to wait and watch it. You can start the cleaning cycle, and once it's going, you're done. We'll get to that in a real quick moment. Excuse me. And you can get to that in two ways. I got to it here. If you hit menu and cleanings, we've got all of these. You go to coffee group cleaning and tap that, and that starts the process. And once you start a cleaning, there's no getting out of it. So be ready. Realize you're going to be down for 10 minutes when you start it. That's extra important because my recommendation is that if you're a really busy cafe, or if you're having trouble, you've had problems with the coffee group clogging and needing to be cleared out, it's a very good idea to do 2 cleanings a day. Do one in the morning, 10:30 or so, after the main crazy rush is done, and then one when you close. And you could even up that to using 2 cleaning tablets instead of 1 if you chose. If you're going to run a milk cleaning, we would use this milk with pump. You tap that. There are video instructions. It walks you through the whole thing. Essentially, the way this works, it will trick you. This will do, I call this more of like a soap rinse than an actual cleaning. I think the actual cleaning is what I cover in my other video, where you soak it in Rinza, strip all the parts down, scrub them with the brush, because this automated cleaning will help keep you clear through the day. That one is on a 6-hour timer, but on the inlet to the nozzle of that milk frothing unit, there's usually a bunch of milk that gets stuck in there that isn't flushed out by that cleaning, and the whole thing, that you need to get that by hand with the little bristle brush that comes with the machine when you do a soaking cleaning, which is what I go over in the other video. And I'm bouncing around, I'm sorry. The second way to start your coffee cleaning is to simply do it, which would be to take out your waste drawer. I'm going to put you back to home, and right here, this black cap, there's a sensor in there, so it knows when you remove that cap. So as soon as you twist off this cap, it's going to start the cleaning, and you're committed, and there will be instructions up on the screen that walk you through it. And I'll do that process right at the end so you can see it. But it's a whole lot of instructions to basically say, remove the drawer, take the cap off, drop a pill into it, put the cap on, put the drawer back in, and hit go. And from there, it's all automated. Anytime you take this waste drawer out, you'll see this. Waste drawer removed, please replace. This waste drawer also doubles as a safety. You can see I can't make a drink. There won't be any moving parts inside the machine if this drawer is out. It's a safety for the tech. So if you happen to be trying to make a drink, or you're making a drink and it like stops, you might look and see if this drawer has, you know, popped out a little bit, because it'll stop a drink mid-drink if you pull it out to empty it. When you replace it, it wants to know if you emptied it, because, right, this has a shot counter that's going to prompt you to empty the drawer every so often. If you pulled it out by mistake and didn't empty it, you can just hit no. If you did empty it, you need to press and hold on yes for 3 seconds, and this is going to run a 20-second rinse. We want to see that happen a lot. That's good. That helps in between your cleanings. You can't keep this thing too clean. But when it runs that 20-second rinse, it's also going to reset that shot counter back to 0. So definitely, if you ever pull it out and you hit yes, make sure that you empty it, because you don't want to leave a full one in there and reset that counter, or you'll just start making drinks and overflow the thing, back it up into the group, and then you'll have a tech out with a vacuum and a whole bunch of stuff, cleaning up a big mess that didn't need to happen. I'm just going to hit no here. So, to run this cleaning, I'm just going to do this now. Take our drawer out. Going to remove my cleaning cap. And add some soap. There are 2 different types of cleaning detergent you can use for this. This is our older style, in this white jar that says UNIC. There is also one in a jar that says Electrolux Professional with a QR code on it for reordering. Either of those are fine. Do not use Share tablets, Frankie tablets, Cafiza, Pure Caf, anything like that. They're different chemicals. They dissolve at different rates, and they can either just dissolve too fast and flush away and not clean your machine, or dissolve too slowly and clog it all up. So it's not a sales pitch for UNIC to say you have to use UNIC tablets. It's by design, by formula, made for this machine's cleaning cycle. You really do need to use the UNIC or the Electrolux Professional tablets for this. But now that we're here in our cleaning, there's no way to get out of this. You can turn the machine off and on. It's not going to care. It's going to know that this cap came off. So we're committed. We're going to be cleaning here. Fortunately for you, we'll stop the video instead of sitting here for 10 minutes. So we're going to put a tablet in here. And this is all we have here. It's just a little white tablet. This will sound silly, but it's a common thing, right? Make sure that you reach in here and you drop it in the hole. A lot of people like to just kind of put it there and slide it or flick it, and that more often than not doesn't work. It just shoots right over the hole, right through this gap down inside the machine. And you got a guy that shows up for service and looks down there and finds, 200 undissolved cleaning tablets just chilling in the framework. So make sure you drop it down into the hole. like this says here, and then replace the cleaning cover. And you don't have to crank this on, just snug firmly. You'll probably hear a little click. There's a micro switch under there that can tell when you put that lid on. And now we replace the waste drawer. Okay, waste drawer empty. Yes, we emptied it. And we're gonna start this cleaning. And you can see there's 3 phases to the cleaning. We're getting going, right? Everything's in blue. It's gonna run a rinse for a while, and then do a bunch of internal stuff where it won't look like it's cleaning, and then there'll be a big rinse at the end, and you'll be right back up and good to go. But I will not make you all sit through 10 minutes of staring at a machine doing nothing, and that is about the end of kind of what you need to know as far as taking care of it and just using and operating. So any other questions, go ahead and reach out. You can hit me up, and we'll get you all taken care of however we need to be.